Welcome to this week's edition of Trading Bits and Bytes. I'm Susan Littlefield. Lots of things to look at. We dealt with the issues with China, of course, the meetings. Now it's going to be extended into September. We also had some craziness in this hog market. And no surprise, the August 12th report is definitely looming in the background. PJ Conradt is joining us today from Tredas, and I think let's start with China, because there was so much anticipation as we seem to go through with every single one of these meetings that we're going to see something.
Every time, and I think everyone thinks trade wars are easy to win because that's what we talked about, but obviously I think at the end of the day, this is something China doesn't want to let go, especially in an election year, and I think moving forward we're going to see this continually be a problem, and it sounds like 10% more tariffs are going to be enacted there on September 1st. You know, a blow to both countries. I think China's going to continually look for different places. Now, I think at the end of the day, their hog situation over there has put us, the whole world, at a disadvantage from soybean per usage. And so whether we had a trade war or not, exports were going to be down because of that. And now this is a very good thing for people to blame Trump for, saying this trade war is killing the soybean farmer. That being said, this was already probably going to be the situation, maybe a little bit more exaggerated. It is frustrating, but I think we got to get through this election year and see what happens in 2020 and focus the page on 2021. And you know, the things we don't talk about is the overall protein demand they're going to have, whether it be from a hog, from a cow, or from a chicken. So there's going to be different protein things that move that way. It's just not in the same form, and anytime there's uncertainty like that, the markets sure don't like it, and that's why I've seen the sell-off in beans this week.
Well, it seems like South America is kind of ramping up as well to take advantage of all this trade discussion. You
know, I've thought it all along, or kind of said it too, is South America is already gunning for what we have from a soybean standpoint. This just expedites the process because China's more willing to put money into them. And also the same with, Russia's kind of stepped in, and China said they're going to do some things with them as well. So, bigger picture, what's this do to American agriculture moving forward? I don't know, but we've definitely given up some market share that hopefully in the event a trade deal gets done, we can get guaranteed demand moving forward and not just a lowest price type situation that we're in right now.
Well, we talked about the hogs at the beginning, and you mentioned them just a little bit ago. We have had a crazy 6 days on this hog market. Limit down, creep up a little bit, go back, limit down, creep, just that bouncing back and forth for them.
And it's not, hogs have definitely taken it harder than I think most other commodities have. Some interesting things to note too is really since those MFP payments were released, we've seen roughly a 30-cent pullback in corn and a 60-cent pullback in beans. Is the world optimistic, or are traders optimistic that there's enough money there now we're going to raise another crop next year? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the way they think, but that's the only logical thing I can come up with of why you would sell off on a government payment like that. So it's definitely frustrating. The hogs have taken a big hit, and so have corn and soybeans. Cattle have hung a little bit tougher here. I think you look back though and you say this time of year for corn and soybeans, we typically do sell off. Is it this aggressive? Usually we're a lot lower, and this is actually the first time we started August above $4 since 2013. Now, that being said, we did get down to $3.99, and I think just the tone of the market's been different this year. Most years we are looking at a good crop by and large. This year, there's a lot of issues. We were late planted. We had some hot weather. We have a lot of uneven stands. The list is huge, and I think that's probably the frustrating part, and why you hear a lot of noise out there of there's no way why these futures should be this low. The market's going to tell you what it should and shouldn't be. Basis is going to be better this year. Do I think corn spends a lot of time below $4? I don't, but I don't know either. We got to 470 and pulled back pretty hard. We'll see what August 12th brings. It's going to be a fun day. The thing with August 12th is I think there's a lot of chips in that basket, and so it could be one number that throws everything on its head, either good or bad. And so are we baking in some bad news now for the hope that if we get a rally, it takes us back to 430? It's funny how your expectations change a lot in 2 weeks, when we wanted to be at $5 and now we're hoping to get back to 430. So that's the life of a farmer too, though. On the way up, you don't have enough corn to sell, and on the way down, you have too much sold, or not enough open. But yeah, so it's just been one of those deals. This year hasn't been ideal, but
it's definitely going to be an interesting report to see how everything reacts the moment those numbers are released.
It is, and the last few reports, we've seen a lot of illiquid trade those first 5 minutes. And I think and correct me if I'm wrong, Susan, if you know, but I think they quit releasing those numbers to the press 10 minutes prior. And really, since they've done that, those first 5 minutes after the report comes out, it jumps up 10, down 5, and they're just ticks. And so I don't know if it's good or bad, and maybe you want to go back to releasing these things at 7:45 in the morning where we all have time to digest it and then go into the 8:30 open. I'm not in the USDA, else maybe we'd be doing things differently.
Sounds good. Thanks so much. PJ Conradt joining us this week is Trading Bits and Bytes. I'm Susan Littlefield.